What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to another bowl game preview and prediction, the second of 4 videos coming out for you today. This one is the Camellia Bowl from Montgomery, Alabama, featuring 2 teams that went 6-6. The Arkansas State Red Wolves, I think to a lot of people's surprise, ended up making a bowl game this year, and then Northern Illinois is back in a bowl game as well. These are going to be 2 very, very motivated teams. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. The Red Wolves have finally started to find success, while Northern Illinois, maybe it wasn't the season they all hoped for, but they're going to look to cap it off with a win. We'll talk everything about the Red Wolves and Huskies here in a minute, but before we do, you guys know I got to say thank you for all the love and support you have shown this channel during the regular season and into the postseason as well. Now, any way you interact with the channel helps to support what I do here on YouTube, so whether that's simply liking, commenting, sharing, watching the videos, subscribing, ringing the bell, really anything else you guys can think of, you are helping to support what I do here on YouTube. Now, I will preface this as I've prefaced with every bowl game before. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to keep track of who's entered the portal, who's opted out, who's out due to injury, and all these sort of last-minute things. So any names that I don't mention or any names that come wake of, hey, they are not playing. Red Wolves fan, Husky fans, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys have to say about this game, and thank you for the updates if you are willing and able to provide them. But enough about all that. Let's dive on into the Camellia Bowl here between Arkansas State and Northern Illinois. We will start with the statistics both these teams have put up so far this season. We will start with the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Now, the offense is definitely the strength of this team. We'll get to the defense in a minute, but this is an offense led by their quarterback there in Jalen Rayner, 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 picks. This has definitely been an offense that has really started to find their groove. Now, Arkansas State did not start out the season super well. They actually ended up getting blown out in their first 2 or 3 games of the season, but this is an offense that eventually started to find it, and I believe an offense that has put up 77 points at one point this season, which is remarkable. This is a team that has really struggled to find their success under Butch Jones. Now it is starting to come, and this is an offense that does a lot of things well besides their quarterback play. Again, Rayner, a very, very young quarterback, has come in and played fairly good minutes. You have a lot of guys in that running back room that run really well. Jaquez Cross, Zach Wallace, both of them are over 500 yards and have at least 6 touchdowns. Rayner is a guy that can get outside of the pocket and run as well. And then in the receiving room, you got 2 really good weapons in Courtney Jackson and Corey Rucker. Rucker coming back here as well. And this is an offense that just simply doesn't turn the football over. Only 12 turnovers on the year for this Red Wolves offense. However, the offensive line, yeah, that's definitely not a strong suit of this team, and they're not the best on third downs. But the offense has done enough to help them win, because the defense, while they've had their flashes of playing some really good football, they haven't really done a lot to help this Arkansas State team make a bowl game. All of that to say, this defense just simply, statistically, when you watch film, it just isn't very good. And on top of that, it is losing one of its best weapons in Javonte Mackey. He was their second leading tackler, 84 tackles, 2 sacks, did have a pass defended in there as well. Now, your leading tackler is still coming back in Charles Willikes. He had 88 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 pass defended, so just numbers a little bit higher than Willikes in the tackling department, but pretty similar everywhere else. Mackey's still a very vocal leader, very huge part of this defense. And again, it was a defense that just wasn't great really in any category. Yes, it has some semblance of a pass rush, 2 sacks per game. Okay, you do that pretty well, but the rush defense isn't great. The secondary is not fantastic. However, both do have their moments, and there are some really good players there within the pass rush. You have 2 the defensive linemen by the name of Nate Marty and Kieron Crawford, both of them with at least 5.5 sacks. They lead the team this year. You have a really good defensive back there as well in Sammy Johnson, 13 passes defended here for this defense. But again, it's a defense that really has to start finding its rhythm. Well, this is a really good spot to start finding your rhythm, because this is the Northern Illinois offense that also struggles at points this season. Now, they don't struggle running the ball. This is a very strong rushing team led by Ontario Brown, 1,164 yards and 10 touchdowns so far this season. You also have Gavin Williams, and they like to run Traven Rudolph on a lot of the jet sweeps and screens and things like that that count as sort of these rushing yards. Now, it was very, very worrying because Trayvon Rudolph was not originally going to play here in this game. Rudolph had entered the transfer portal. He again, third on the team in rushing yards and is by far their best weapon on the outside. 46 catches, 499 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he withdrew his name from the transfer portal, and I do believe is expected to play in this game. Now, Northern Illinois is going to be without their starting center, who has been there the entire way for Rocky Lombardi this year. It's been a tough road for Lombardi, but 2,074 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks. He definitely has shown flashes of being a pretty solid quarterback here and there, and turnovers are not plaguing him as much as they have in previous seasons, and the offensive line does play a really good brand of football. However, when you take a look at things just in its entirety, this really is a Husky defense that has really started to lead this team. Again, like I was saying, it's a Husky defense that has really started to emerge and played really, really well. 318 yards per game allowed. That is the entirety of what Northern Illinois allows, right? So this is a really pretty good rush defense. It's a pretty good pass defense there as well. And they have a lot of very good weapons to be able to work with defensively. Now, I do believe there are 1 or 2 opt-outs whose name I've forgotten to write down, or not opt-outs, guys that have entered the portal, whose names I've just forgotten to write down on my little note sheet that I have on my second screen here. But I do believe that even without those defensive weapons there, I mean, this is still a pretty darn good defense, and it has helped keep Northern Illinois in games where the offense wasn't really clicking, and there are a lot of times where the offense just cannot seem to find its groove. The rush defense, okay, yeah, sure, maybe isn't the best, and neither is the pass rush, but this passing defense, oh boy, it is something to behold. Let's get in here to your what to watch for, kind of like your keys to the game. Just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you're paying attention to this one. The offense runs this Arkansas State team. Again, like I've talked about before, the defense just quite simply is not very good. It has to crank up the yards here in this game against a Husky defense that if they can get them reeling, I don't think this Husky offense is going to be able to keep up. So a lot of these offensive weapons like Cross and Wallace out of the backfield, and like Jackson and Rucker, and even guys like Foreman catching the football, they need to get this offensive tempo moving fast. They need to put up points in a hurry, and it needs to be able to crank up the yards here against this Husky defense. The defense, however, it's going to have to make some plays. This is a Husky offense that, while sure at times it does struggle, again, has a lot of really, really good individual playmakers. Brown in the backfield is a 1,100 yards is an 1,100 yards rusher, and Rudolph, even though the stats are not going to show it, he is a very dynamic threat that with the ball in his hands can do a lot of really good things. Now it is up to Lombardi to really be able to limit turnovers and be able to run this offense and game manage really well. But the defense for Arkansas State has not been good all year long. It has to be able to make some plays. It has to buckle down and find ways to generate some negative plays and force Northern Illinois here into some third and longs. And like I've talked about before, this is an Arkansas State offense that has limited turnovers up to this point. They need to stay that way. If you give this Husky defense some turnovers, hey, that's when the offense really starts to get going, and that's when the team starts to gain momentum. The turnovers need to stay limited for the Red Wolves. Now for the Huskies, I think a lot of Husky fans know what to expect out of this team in the postseason. For one, this is Northern Illinois. Okay, and while Rocky Lombardi has shown some flashes, that is not the strength of this offense. The strength of this offense is to give it to Brown, is to give it to Williams, is to, hey, maybe even let Lombardi get outside of the pocket every once in a while. Ground and pound is the name of the game, and they're going to look to take it to this Arkansas State rush defense that, again, just hasn't been great so far this season. But the Husky defense, that is what is going to dictate That is going to what's dictate the tempo here of this game. I did not English very well at all, but the Husky defense will dictate the tempo in this game, and I think they're going to control it, and I think the Huskies are also going to win third downs. Now, it has been a struggle on third downs for a lot of points this season, but when the Huskies win the battle on third downs, that is when they win football game. So you would think, hey, look, everything statistically, analytically is pointing in the direction of the Northern Illinois Huskies, right? I mean, it seems like they have the more dynamic weapons. It seems like the defense plays a whole lot better brand of football. But sadly, we're talking about Northern Illinois in a bowl game. And I feel like this is an Arkansas State offense that Northern Illinois just hasn't really seen a whole lot of this season. This is a Northern Illinois team that is used to kind of the more slow tempo, not really as dynamic offenses of the Mid-American Conference. And I think it's going to get punched in the gut here when Arkansas State comes in. This is the team that has finally started to find their success under Butch Jones. And unfortunately for the Huskies, yeah, it's Northern Illinois in a bowl game. They do not have a real good track record of performing well in the postseason, and I think that continues here. While the defense will come up with some plays, I don't think this Northern Illinois offense is going to be able to keep up enough with the attack of the Red Wolves. I got the Red Wolves winning this one by 2. Let me know how you see this one playing out in the comment section below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.